Good evening and welcome to one more session in the Bengaluru Mobility series. And this is a very special event for us. Today, we're going to be joined together joined here by N.A. Harris. Harris is the multi-term member of the Legislative Assembly from Shantinagar Assembly constituency in Bengaluru. And he's here partly because of that rich practical experience that he has on the ground in essentially making a constituency function well. But along with that, we've invited Harris to join us today because he served as the chairman of the Bangalore Metropolitan Transport Corporation, the BMTC. And so especially given that we have so much of a focus on bus transport, we thought that we would get a very interesting perspective from someone who has headed the organization, who has understood the pain points of the people from his experience on the ground, etc. Now, just in terms of a little bit of background, this is the fifth of a series of seminars and webinars that we've been holding. We is the Bengaluru Needs You initiative of the Resurgent India Trust. This is an NGO that I'm a managing trustee of. And this has been sort of a non-partisan, policy-oriented, constructive engagement with Bengaluru's challenges. And the reason why we started all this is because in the last few months, we've seen our city and the entire country going into lockdown. And that disrupting a lot of economic activity, people's lives, earning opportunities, but especially their ability to move. And and so one of the things that we wanted to see was how has mobility been affected? How have we recovered from that? And what lessons can we take as we rebuild our lives in hopefully what will be the post-COVID era? Anyway, so it's such a pleasure to have you with us here this evening, Harris Bhai. And I'm going to start by engaging you in a conversation. This is being broadcast on Zoom, and it's also being simulcast, live streamed on your Facebook page. So that's where I think a lot of your fans and followers and constituents will be engaging as well. So, as BMTC chairman, I want to start with the bus agenda itself. As BMTC chairman, you would have seen some of the city's challenges, right? So there are 3-4 that I want to raise. One, you are in the assembly, and so you get to engage with the government, and sometimes it is the ruling party, and it was the ruling party when you were chairman. And one of the challenges is to give more priority to BMTC, to buses, which move such a large number of people in the city. And the usual complaint is that the government treats BMTC as a stepchild and doesn't give it enough resources. What's your experience been, and were you able to change some of that attitude?
Good evening, Rajiv, and all other participants and viewers and friends, well-wishers. Let me first of all thank Professor Rajeev Gowda for, creating something like this, where we could get into an at least discussion, and where we could know many things which are possible, not possible. And of course, as you rightly said, I have been the chairman for BMTC, and that was a very short period where I could actually be there. And when I was there, the parliament election came, and code of conduct was in force, and I could not actually work much because almost 3.5 months was code of conduct. But then I had done a lot of planning, because that was when our government was in power, and we thought that we would continue. See, the foremost thing is BMTC doesn't have any competition. We have to understand that. See, why BMTC is failing is because it doesn't have a competition. But I don't suggest that we should give a competition to BMTC anyway. I am not making an appeal for that, rather. But the people in BMTC needs to understand, because there is no competition, they cannot take things for granted. There is no vision and there is no proper planning. as we have already discussed, Rajiv, the basic backbone of a city is transport, where people move from one end to other and where they reach for their daily, and it is the main an oxygen for the community as a whole. But then what is happening is Bangalore is growing faster than any other city in the country. It's one of the fastest growing cities in the country, but BMTC has not elevated itself to that speed because the
Mm.
government is not supporting it. And the foremost is important is when the price of fuel increases, BMTC is not permitted to increase the price. And in return, what happened? BMTC ends up making loss, and government says it is a loss-making company, and they are not supporting that one. So this the whole chain has to be set properly. One is BMTC could be there was some 2 3 options coming. It could be run free to the citizens of the city, rather collecting some money through the building taxes and residential taxes and
Hmm.
giving this facility to them free of cost. Only charge those who come from outside the city, and all the people in the city have a pass and they are permitted to use the bus service free. So they prepay the bus services, and that supports the BMTC, or BBMP should support BMTC. Then what happens? It gets a bigger strength and it will not go under loss. When you know the fuel prices are shooting up every day and BMTC cannot raise its prices. So this is a basic thing what I'm trying to tell. The negative point is the last mile connectivity is not there in BMTC. Because last mile connectivity is not there, the person at the last mile needs to have a two-wheeler or a three-wheeler or a four-wheeler for himself to move around. And this is also creating congestion in traffic in the city. So if we give this last mile connectivity, actually Bangalore city's traffic also will be controlled. I have made a study on that. That also will be controlled, and the public gets facility. He reaches up to his house. Maybe BMTC, the big bus may not go there. A smaller bus can be provided to pick up people from the last mile, bring them to a second stage, then take them to the final stage. So this planning and vision is lacking in BMTC. And as you know, we are in the Silicon Valley, and we are the people provider of software to the entire universe. And we don't have ourselves a proper app in BMTC. We don't have software connectivity. We don't know which bus service is going, which bus service has to cut off there. There is this peak hour is not there. They could divert that bus into another line. So there are a lot of this kind of planning which needs to be done. I, as an MD, had initiated some of them, and I think it is tendered, and it is now maybe because now again somebody else is the chairman, somebody else is the managing director. So what happens? They come out with their vision. So there is no concrete planning as such, and you are a planner yourself. You know what I am trying to tell you, because until unless that planning doesn't happen, you cannot expect. And because BMTC doesn't have any competition, because we don't give any other bus fellow permission to run in Bangalore city, so he's just sitting relaxed. Okay, his bus comes, he'll go. Otherwise, he doesn't go. This attitude has to be changed.
Okay, so I want to pick up on two themes that you mentioned. One has to do with last mile connectivity. The other, of course, is with the startup city and with innovation and technology. Let's address the second one. One of the things that I recall when you took over as BMTC chairman, you did mention that you will be emphasizing technology. And I can assure you that I use public transport occasionally, mostly the metro. The bus I mostly take only occasionally to the airport if I don't have a stressful time lined up. But as you pointed out, more in this environment of startups, more with GPS being available, with the ability to track buses, reroute, etc., in a more dynamic manner, there's so much that could have been done. Any good solutions that you came across that should have been or will can still be implemented?
No, no, we have already actually taken up some tenders from a firm from Italy and some European countries. See, we don't even have a good control room at BMTC where everything is
Mm.
monitored and where they are planning. Okay, there is a route where the passengers are less in some hour. and that could be diverted to another route which has got more passengers waiting for the bus. See, this is the planning which will reduce the loss of BMTC.
Right.
And also now, see, today app, everything you have app. Swiggy
Mhm.
app, you go Ola app, you go to anything else, and you can watch on that app how much minute he is going to reach you. BMTC does not have that. A passenger want to go from one destination to another, there should be an app which gives, okay, this is the bus stand. The bus will reach there in 5 minutes. Bus will reach in 10 minutes. So then public no will avoid buying their own seat. Today they don't have parking space. Theft is more. Robbery is more. Their vehicles are not safe. They invest lakh of rupees in that vehicle, and vehicle is the only thing when you buy for 1 lakh rupees. Another 1 year is the price reduces to 70,000. 2 years it reduces to 50,000. There is no appreciation for value for vehicles. The investment is diminishing. So anyone who thinks about how money has to be planned will not invest in vehicles if he has a good public transport. This, I
Mhm.
think, can be done because BMTC has got all the scope for that. Even about electrical buses, I had given an option to the government. Entire CBD area, first you remove all this bus, put it on the outskirts, bring in electrical buses into it. Around 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, we can get at least minimum 5,000 electrical bus. There was a company ready to come here, set up an industry, do it and give it to us. And see, no need of any funding from government. The buses can be bought on lease, and the BMTC itself can pay the money back to that company. So a lot of schemes are there, but nobody is taking initiative to do it. That is where is the who will bell the cat is the big $1 billion question.
Mm.
So I had done a lot of exercise, but and I wanted to do much more than what I have done. Very small only because the time was my limitation. Because Bangalore city and I being the MLA of the heart of Bangalore, I know the real problem what the people are facing as far as the transport and the way they have to move around in the city with the traffic congestions and all those things. BMTC will be a great solution to all these things if it is planned properly.
I
Even if
think
today,
you're right.
Rajiv, just to add on, even today, even if the BJP government, if they call me and take with my experience, I can give them some expert ideas and solution to a lot of things which are stuck. It doesn't matter whether Congress is ruling or BJP is ruling. I think you will also come with me. We can support them. We can offer that to them. We can tell this is how it can be done. And being a businessman, I know BMTC can make a lot of money, and BMTC can support the government, in fact.
I think that's a set of ideas that we'd really want to explore further. One of the things is that our city has been blessed with very active citizenry, very good civic organizations and civil society. So we can take these ideas forward, have more discussions, and put the results and the reports out there in the public domain, which the government can pick up and run with. And of course, we can also offer them as solutions. Now, on the last mile connectivity angle, one of the challenges is parking or even bicycles or electric autos or things like that, or even small mini buses that go in circuits and things like that. Is there some possibility of those sorts of things coming up? Could BMTC itself take the lead?
No, it can be done, and there are some proposals also, smaller buses. Then there are a lot of public entrepreneurs who are prepared to put in electrical cycles, electrical
Mhm.
two-wheelers, and all these things, which at a very
Mhm.
nominal price, people can pick up, drop it there. As it is, we have some cycles, electrical ones, which are you can pick it up and leave at the metro station and go. You don't even have to bother. It is charged and it keeps working as long as it is there. You have to just pay small money through your credit card. I think, see, technology and the digital world will bring in a big difference if it is being put properly. And it will save a lot of money to every individual in our city. It will be a great savings to them.
I think that you're right on track there, and I think this is something, when we talk about asking the startup community to come up with solutions, there is this concept of grand challenges, which basically says let's get everyone involved in solving big problems. And nothing could be bigger than our own cities' mobility, moving people, moving goods. And I think this is something that we'll take forward, take up going forward. But I just want to jump to this issue of all these other, technologies that have come in, bicycle sharing and things like that. I have seen in your constituency on Mahatma Gandhi Road, at the bottom of Brigade Road, etc., these bicycle sharing setups that have come in. How have they worked? Do they work well? Is it possible in this very heavy traffic of center Bangalore for all that to work? What's your
No,
experience?
Professor, it's working really wonderful. It's doing very well.
Oh,
And see, now
okay.
between BMTC and Metro, we have to make it together. A bus
Ah,
pass, you go to London, you take that some card, what is it called, ostrich card or something. You can get
yeah.
into bus, you can get into tube, you can get
Oyster.
into anything. Oyster, correct,
Oyster card.
Oyster
Yeah.
card. And you can
Ah,
get in anywhere. You buy for a week, buy for a month, buy for 2 months. And see, that same thing we should also do here. A person who travels, he can travel, take metro, take BMTC, connect all the together. Then the last mile connectivity, take a electrical cycle or a two-wheeler, whatever is available at the last point where he reaches to his place. Support them. See, we are looking at all these private entrepreneurs as if they are come to do dacoity on us. They're making money. See, we are being losing. See, this is the attitude we are showing. We need to
okay.
show that, see, no. They cost effective. They have to be, no doubt about that. Let the government fix them. Tell them, okay, this price you work out. They do better job than whatever the government is doing. And at the end of the day, who is benefited out of it? You and me, Rajiv. I also use
Absolutely.
metro. I do cycling. See, as it is now with the tender shore roads, we have beautiful footpaths being created. People can really walk. And cycling track comes, you start cycling. Both makes you better, good health. Your immunity now with corona, you need more immunity. I think this will add values to those. And the last mile connectivity. I mean, at least let's have a positive approach to all this, which will bring in a bigger change. When we go to any foreign country, we accept all these things. Only when we are here, we don't want to accept it. Why is it so? I don't understand.
Well, that is the reality in so many ways. But if let me just take up one or two more themes that you just addressed. One of the things that would make buses a preferred mode of transport and make public transport much more attractive is the predictability and the seamless connectivity, etc. And Bangalore's traffic or horrendous traffic is world renowned. And there are all the jokes about people getting stuck at Silkboard and going IPO by the time they actually got out. But basically, the question is, one way you can do that is to give buses priority on the roads so that they become a mode of transport that moves fast. They already move fairly fast compared to, in comparison, because in spite of them being big hulking vehicles moving a lot of people, they actually move with people fairly quickly once you get there. The question
Can I
is,
just intervene 1 minute, 1 second,
sure.
one not minute. Raju, again, see, in our city, we have one ways, and we
Hmm.
take all the vehicles so much round they go. At least public transport, buses should be permitted in one way to go because it takes more people and they reach faster. This is also again in many of the European cities. This is allowed. Public transport even goes on an no entry. Only public transport is permitted. So they take 40 people, 50 people, 60 people, and they reach them faster. I hope
Hmm.
you understand what I'm trying to tell.
I got the logic, and I
So
think yeah,
these
we need
things
to
will
plan these things. Yeah,
these things,
yeah.
if
So
we
if we
have
can,
done properly, will benefit everyone. No, time
okay, I
saving.
got your point. Yeah. So now the city has come up with this. BMTC has experimented with a bus priority lane in the outer ring road from Tin
Yeah.
Factory to Silkboard, and that's actually working reasonably well, and it's going to be improved even further. There's even talk about integrating a bicycle lane with that. So, I mean, it's just changing the nature of how we move things around, how we move people around. And but the center city, which you represent, is where the traffic converges, roads are packed, even though some of them are very broad and big roads. Do you think there are bus priority lanes even in your constituency?
No, I think that's what that should be done throughout, and which gives benefit to the public transport, where more people will utilize the public transport, and also like the one ways where we, as I just told earlier, and these lines with the cycling. These are the things what we have to do now, which we are just going on the old same thing. Bus is going, car is going, everything is going. One way means one way for everybody. You go in a cycle also one way, you go on a car also, it is one way. That doesn't make logic actually. Priority
No, no.
to walk, priority to walking people. Do we have that idea? No. There are not much skywalks available to cross the roads even. So there was a planning. Suddenly these people make plan, they drop it. In my own constituency, I need around 10 skywalks near the colleges and the schools, where the safety and walking both happens. But I mean, I'm just not telling, see, as an MLA, I'm putting my effort to get it done. But then you know how the system works sometimes. It doesn't go on the way we want it, Rajiv. So, I mean, I'm just using this platform so that somebody is watching and maybe they could take this idea and do it.
Yeah, no, 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 absolutely. I like to walk myself, and as a pedestrian, it's such a challenge. The sidewalks are footpaths have broken tiles, and there's garbage on them, and you end up walking on the street, and you can't cross the road because the traffic is never ending, and so there are real challenges. But you're lucky. Or maybe it's thanks to you. There are a lot of these tender shore roads in the center of the city in your constituency, which have made walking a breeze and even smoothened the flow of traffic. And you think that this is a solution that can be implemented in a much, what's coming in the
It
way of
should be
doing
done.
more?
No, no, it should be done. I think it is happening now. Other part of the cities also have taken up tender shore work as what is that new scheme? No, on from the central government and the state government
Nagaratana.
together doing. Not Nagaratana. That is smart city. Smart city
Smart
projects. They
city.
have taken up. Yeah, they
Smart
have
city.
taken up some roads on that. So that is also will help. Now one more thing is, see, where we lack again. We have invested and done all these roads for the past now 6-7 years up. Now we don't have a maintenance on them. We are not planning to maintain.
Oh.
Again, after some time, you will find the same kind of, these footpaths will become like that. So the priorities in BBMP has to be fixed. Where we are lacking, what has to be done when? When the rain is come and gone, when it floods, then we start desilting. And when it, before rain comes, if we desilt, there will be no floods. So this kind of planning, as far as road infrastructure is made, how do you maintain it? So that adds, and that will retain all this infrastructure and give more facility to people, Raju. That's what I feel.